Hi. I'm Andrew Huberman, professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford School of Medicine. And today I want to share with you one of the most overlooked, but profoundly important, keys to muscular health, especially after age 50. We know that as we age, as a sarcopenia, the natural loss of muscle mass, becomes a major challenge. It affects mobility, longevity, metabolism, and even cognitive performance. And while everyone talks about protein, which is, of course, essential, there's something even more fundamental that your muscles need to properly rebuild, recover, and remain metabolically active. That mineral is magnesium. Magnesium is crucial for muscle health after 50. As we age, one of the most significant physiological challenges we face is the progressive decline in skeletal muscle mass and function, a process known as sarcopenia. By age 50, most individuals begin to experience a measurable loss in muscle density, strength, and performance. Traditionally, this has been attributed largely to reduced protein intake, hormonal changes, or decreased physical activity. While those are all valid factors, they don't tell the whole story. What's often overlooked is that even with adequate protein consumption and a consistent resistance training routine, muscle repair and growth can be severely impaired without the presence of sufficient magnesium. That's because magnesium is not just a supporting mineral. It's a cofactor in virtually every process required to build and repair muscle fibers. It activates enzymes that drive ATP production, which fuels muscle contraction. It facilitates the uptake of amino acids into muscle cells. And perhaps most importantly, it regulates calcium transport, which governs muscle contraction and relaxation cycles. Magnesium also plays a major role in mitochondrial efficiency, the powerhouses of cells that generate energy. Without added magnesium, mitochondria can't function optimally, leading to reduced endurance, longer recovery times, and a higher risk of muscle fatigue. Furthermore, magnesium affects the nervous system's ability to communicate with muscle fibers, meaning even neuromuscular signaling, the firing of nerves that initiates movement, becomes compromised in a deficient state. After the age of 50, the body becomes less efficient at absorbing and retaining magnesium while simultaneously requiring more of it to offset age-related metabolic shifts. This creates a perfect storm, declining absorption, increasing needs, and declining muscle performance, all feeding into one another. For people in midlife and beyond, ignoring magnesium is not just a missed opportunity. It's a critical oversight in the fight to maintain muscle strength and functional independence. Most people over 50 are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium deficiency is often referred to as a hidden epidemic. And nowhere is this more relevant than in adults over the age of 50. Despite its essential role in hundreds of biochemical reactions, magnesium is one of the most commonly underconsumed nutrients in the Western diet. In fact, data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey (NHS) consistently shows that over 60% of adults over 50 fail to meet the recommended daily intake of magnesium, and many are significantly below optimal levels, even if they show no obvious symptoms. One reason this deficiency goes undetected is that magnesium is primarily stored inside cells and bone, not in the blood. Standard blood tests often miss early stage depletion because serum magnesium represents less than 1% of total body stores. This means someone can be functionally deficient with low intracellular levels, impairing muscle function, energy metabolism, and nervous system regulation. While appearing normal on routine lab work, age exacerbates the issue in several ways. First, the efficiency of magnesium absorption in the intestines declines with age. At the same time, renal magnesium excretion increases, especially in individuals dealing with chronic low-grade inflammation or mild kidney dysfunction, both common in the aging population. Additionally, the widespread use of medications such as proton inhibitors for acid reflux diuretics, for blood pressure, and certain antibiotics further depletes magnesium stores by either blocking absorption or increasing urinary loss. Dietary factors compound the problem. The modern diet, particularly in developed nations, is rich in processed foods, refined grains, and added sugars, which are inherently low in magnesium. Even foods that were historically good sources of magnesium, like leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and whole grains, now contain less of the mineral due to soil depletion and modern agricultural practices. For example, spinach today may have significantly less magnesium per serving than spinach grown 50 years ago, and yet many people assume they get enough simply by eating a relatively balanced diet. What makes magnesium deficiency particularly insidious in older adults is that its symptoms, fatigue, muscle weakness, poor sleep, irritability, cognitive fog, and cramping, are often mistaken for normal signs of aging. In reality, they may reflect a chronic of this mineral quietly reducing vitality, slowing muscle regeneration, and impairing overall metabolic function. Magnesium directly supports muscle function in recovery. Magnesium's role in muscle health extends far beyond basic mineral support. It is intricately involved in nearly every stage of muscular function, from the cellular level up to whole body coordination and physical performance. To fully appreciate its importance, it's helpful to understand the physiological processes that magnesium influences both during exercise and in the critical recovery period afterward. At the cellular level, magnesium is a cofactor for adenosine triphosphate and ATP, the primary energy currency of the body. However, ATP does not function properly unless it is bound to magnesium. In fact, it exists in the body as a magnesium ATP complex. Every single time a muscle fiber contracts, whether during a heavy lift, a sprint, or even while walking, ATP is broken down for energy, both as magnesium is required to catalyze that reaction. Without it, energy production falters, muscular contractions weaken, and endurance diminishes. Magnesium also regulates calcium balance inside muscles. Calcium is the ion that triggers muscle contraction, and magnesium is the ion that allows the muscle to relax after contraction. These two minerals work in direct opposition, but in complementary fashion. An imbalance, especially one where magnesium is deficient, can lead to excessive calcium buildup, resulting in muscle cramping, tightness, or spasms, as well as poor coordination and delayed recovery. Over time, this imbalance contributes to inefficient movement patterns and increased risk of injury, particularly in aging muscles that are already more vulnerable to wear and tear. Furthermore, magnesium plays a vital role in protein synthesis, the process by which the body repairs and builds muscle tissue after stress or exercise. This involves signaling pathways like mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin, which is a key regulator of anabolic activity in muscles. Magnesium helps modulate this pathway, effectively unlocking the cell's ability to initiate repair and growth. In its absence, even a protein-rich diet and resistance training may fail to fully stimulate hypertrophy or regeneration. Magnesium also influences insulin sensitivity and glucose uptake in muscle cells, both of which are critical for fueling muscular work and replenishing glycogens post-exercise. Muscle tissue is one of the largest sites of glucose disposal in the body, and magnesium helps facilitate the action of insulin receptors on the cell surface. In a magnesium-deficient state, insulin becomes less effective, leading to poorer blood sugar control, reduced nutrient uptake, and ultimately slower recovery and muscle repair. Another crucial aspect is magnesium's effect on inflammation and oxidative stress, which are elevated after physical activity, especially intense or prolonged exercise. While acute inflammation is part of the normal recovery process, a chronic low-grade inflammation can blunt muscle adaptation and increase muscle breakdown. Magnesium has been shown to exert an anti-inflammatory effect by modulating cytokine production and reducing the levels of C-reactive protein NCRP and other inflammatory markers in the bloodstream. By keeping inflammation in check, magnesium helps ensure that muscle recovery is swift, efficient, and productive. Magnesium is also deeply involved in neuromuscular signaling, the communication between nerves and muscle fibers. This includes the transmission of electrical impulses at the neuromuscular junction, where motor neurons activate muscle contraction. Magnesium helps stabilize nerve membranes, regulate ion exchange, and maintain the integrity of this signaling process. In older adults, where neuromuscular communication naturally declines, maintaining adequate magnesium levels becomes even more important to preserve coordination, strength, and reaction time. Scientific studies back its role in muscle preservation. A growing body of clinical research strongly supports the connection between magnesium intake and the preservation and even enhancement of muscle mass and function, particularly in aging populations. While magnesium has long been recognized for its role in basic physiological processes, it is only in the past decade that its impact on muscle quality, strength, and physical performance has come into sharper focus through controlled, peer-reviewed studies. One landmark study published in the journal Magnesium Research tracked elderly individuals over a 12-month period and found that those with higher dietary magnesium intake had significantly greater muscle mass and leg power compared to those with lower intake. This relationship held true even after adjusting for confounding factors like total protein consumption, physical activity, and comorbidities such as diabetes or cardiovascular disease. In other words, magnesium's impact on muscle wasn't just correlative. It appeared to be independently beneficial regardless of other known influencers of muscle health. Another controlled trial conducted in Italy, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, gave magnesium supplements to a group of healthy older adults engaged in a moderate resistance training program. The group that received magnesium showed greater improvements in quadriceps strength and grip strength than the placebo group. What's especially compelling is that both groups followed the exact same training protocol, yet the magnesium group experienced enhanced neuromuscular adaptations, a strong indication that magnesium acts as a performance and recovery amplifier rather than just a passive nutrient. Further studies have linked magnesium status to muscle endurance and reduced fatigue. In one randomized trial, subjects who received magnesium oxide supplementation demonstrated an increase in exercise tolerance, measured by longer time to exhaustion and better oxygen uptake efficiency. Both this is believed to be mediated by magnesium's effects on mitochondrial energy production, particularly within slow twitch muscle fibers that are responsible for endurance and postural control, functions that tend to decline disproportionately with age. Magnesium has also been investigated in the context of frailty and fall risk, which are critical concerns in older populations. Research published in Osteoporosis International found that individuals with low magnesium intake had significantly higher rates of frailty, characterized by weakness, slowness, and low physical activity. Frailty is not only associated with muscle loss, but also with impaired nervous system coordination and inflammation, both of which are modulated by magnesium availability. Several longitudinal studies suggest that magnesium deficiency may precede the onset of frailty, indicating a possible causal relationship rather than mere association. Additionally, a magnesium supplementation has shown promise in clinical populations with existing muscle dysfunction, such as individuals recovering from surgery, athletes experiencing overtraining, and patients with chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia. In these cases, magnesium has been linked to reductions in muscle soreness, faster recovery times, and improved muscle metabolism markers, such as creatine kinase and lactate levels, all of which are critical indicators of how well the body recovers from muscular stress. The research also indicates a synergistic effect when magnesium is combined with other interventions like vitamin D supplementation or resistance training. In elderly subjects with suboptimal vitamin D levels, magnesium supplementation was found to enhance the activation of vitamin D into its biologically active form, which then supported greater muscle protein synthesis. Since both nutrients are often deficient in older adults, this synergy further emphasizes magnesium's central role in any evidence-based approach to preserving muscle health through aging. Overall, the cumulative weight of evidence points to magnesium not as an optional supplement, secondary nutrient, but as a primary modulator of muscular adaptation, strength retention, and recovery across the lifespan, especially in individuals over the age of 50 who are naturally more prone to deficiency and muscle degradation through both biological and lifestyle factors. A right form and dose of magnesium matters. While magnesium is undeniably essential for muscular function and healthy aging, not all forms of magnesium are created equal, and dosage plays a pivotal role in how effectively the body absorbs and utilizes this critical mineral. Simply knowing that magnesium is important is not enough. Understanding how to take it, in what form, and in what amount determines whether or not someone will reap its full physiological benefits. Magnesium comes in several different chemical forms, as in each has unique absorption characteristics, targeted effects, and potential drawbacks. The most bioavailable and widely recommended forms for muscular health and nervous system support include magnesium glycinate, magnesium malate, and magnesium threonate, each offering specific advantages depending on the individual's needs. Magnesium glycinate, a chelated form where magnesium is bound to glycine and amino acid, is known for its superior absorption and gentle effect on the digestive system. This form is often recommended for people with muscle tension, insomnia, or anxiety, because glycine itself has a calming effect on the nervous system. Its high bioavailability means it can be taken in relatively moderate doses while still delivering noticeable physiological results, particularly in supporting restorative sleep, muscle relaxation, and recovery from training, all of which are essential for preserving muscle mass in aging individuals. Magnesium malate, which combines magnesium with malic acid compound found naturally in fruits, is particularly effective for people dealing with muscle fatigue or low energy levels. The malic acid plays a central role in the Krebs cycle, the metabolic pathway by which cells produce ATP or energy, making this form especially relevant for individuals who experience chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, or exercise-induced energy crashes. For older adults whose mitochondrial function may already be in decline, magnesium malate can offer support not just in muscle function, but also in improving baseline metabolic energy. Both as a magnesium threonate is a newer, highly specialized form that crosses the blood-brain barrier and is often used for cognitive support. Though it contains a smaller amount elemental magnesium per dose, its unique ability to penetrate the central nervous system makes it highly relevant for maintaining neuromuscular coordination, neuroplasticity, and executive function, all of which are interconnected with physical strength, balance, and reaction time. For individuals over 50, especially those who are interested in maintaining both brain and muscle performance, threonate can be a strategic addition to a magnesium regimen. On the other hand, magnesium oxide, though commonly found in over-the-counter supplements due to its low cost and high elemental content, has poor absorption in the gastrointestinal tract. Studies have shown that less than 4% of the elemental magnesium in oxide form is absorbed, and much of it acts as a laxative, pulling water into the intestines and often leading to gastrointestinal discomfort, diarrhea, or cramping. Despite its popularity in retail supplements, magnesium oxide is typically not recommended for individuals who need sustained systemic magnesium support, especially when targeting muscle or neuromuscular benefits. As for dosage, the current recommended daily intake RD for magnesium varies by age and sex. Men over 50 require about 420 mg per day, while women in the same age range need approximately 320 mg per day. However, these values represent minimum thresholds to avoid deficiency, not necessarily the optimal dose for muscular recovery, athletic performance, or therapeutic benefit. In cases of chronic stress, high physical output, or known magnesium depletion, individuals may benefit from higher intakes, typically in the range of 5,800 mg per day, split across multiple doses to enhance absorption and minimize digestive upset. It's also important to note that magnesium status is influenced by other nutrients, especially vitamin D, calcium, and B complex vitamins, which interact with magnesium and shared metabolic pathways. For instance, vitamin D cannot be fully activated or utilized without sufficient magnesium, meaning that a deficiency in one can create a cascade of dysfunction in multiple systems, from bone health to insulin sensitivity to muscle repair. For this reason, many healthcare professionals recommend taking magnesium alongside a balanced, supportive micronutrient profile, particularly in older adults whose absorption efficiency may already be compromised. Finally, the timing of magnesium supplementation can influence its effects. Taking magnesium in the evening, particularly forms like glycinate or threonate, may enhance sleep quality and nighttime muscle repair, while malate may be better suited to the morning or early afternoon when energy production and physical activity are highest. Additionally, spacing doses throughout the day can help maintain steady levels and avoid spikes or crashes, which is especially important for older individuals seeking consistent neuromuscular support and reduced fatigue.